I woke up surrounded by alien vampire women, and their leader said, "You're ours now." The Crimson Descent Doctor. Nadia Chen squinted at the warning lights flashing across her console. The small research vessel shuddered violently as it entered the atmosphere of Australis, a crystalline moon that orbited the gas giant Terralux. Her mission was supposed to be routine: collect mineral samples, analyze the unusual electromagnetic properties of the surface, and return to the research station. Simple. Mayday. Mayday. Research vessel Helios experiencing catastrophic system failure. Coordinates locked to Sector 7 of Australis. Requesting immediate... The communication system died with a final sputter of static. Nadia gripped the manual controls, her knuckles white as the ship plummeted toward the glittering surface below. The impact came faster than expected. Metal screamed against crystal, and darkness swallowed her consciousness. When Nadia awoke, her first sensation was warmth, unexpected on a moon known for its frigid temperatures. Soft purple light pulsed around her, emanating from crystalline veins that ran through walls of polished black stone. She wasn't in her ship anymore. The air carried a sweet scent, like jasmine mixed with something unfamiliar, metallic. "The human awakens," came a melodic voice from the shadows. Nadia turned sharply, wincing at the pain in her ribs. She wasn't alone. Surrounding her were slender humanoid figures with skin the color of twilight, varying shades of purple from pale lavender to deep amethyst. Their eyes gleamed like stars, pupils vertical like a cat's. Most striking were their hands, which seemed to shimmer with a faint bioluminescence when they moved. One figure stepped forward, taller than the others. Her movements were liquid grace, her skin a rich violet that caught the light. She wore a garment that seemed woven from crystal threads, and her hair, if it could be called that, moved like tendrils of dark energy around her elegant face. "I am Sareen, sovereign of the Lunari," she said, her voice resonating in a way that seemed to bypass Nadia's ears and speak directly to her mind. "You have crashed upon our sanctuary." Nadia struggled to sit up on what appeared to be a bed formed from living crystal. "My ship, beyond repair," Serene interrupted, moving closer. "But you are fascinating. We sensed your approach from deep within our haven. Your essence calls to us in a way we have not experienced in thousands of cycles." The other Lunari moved closer, their eyes fixed on Nadia with an intensity that made her skin prickle. She reached instinctively for her emergency beacon, only to find her equipment gone, replaced by a simple garment of similar crystal-woven fabric. "What do you want from me?" Nadia asked, her scientific training kicking in despite her fear. She observed their physiology, noting the way light seemed to flow beneath their purple skin. Serene extended a hand, stopping just inches from Nadia's face. "We are fading, human. Our essence diminishes with each passing cycle. But you..." Her eyes widened slightly. "You radiate a vitality unlike anything we have encountered. A unique pattern. Your energy could be the key to our survival." A taller male Lunari stepped forward, his expression stern. "Sovereign, we should begin the extraction immediately. The council awaits." "Patience, Trevak," Serene replied without looking at him. "This one is different. I sense potential beyond mere sustenance." She addressed Nadia again. "You're a scientist, yes?" "I can see it in your thought patterns." Nadia nodded cautiously. "Xenobiologist. I study alien life forms." A smile curved Serene's lips. "Then we have much to offer each other. You seek knowledge. We seek survival." She leaned closer, her star-like eyes reflecting Nadia's face. "You may explore our world and our nature, Dr. Nadia Chen, and in return we will explore yours." The implications hung in the air between them, both invitation and gentle threat. "Do I have a choice?" Nadia asked quietly. Serene's smile deepened, revealing teeth that came to subtle points. "You are ours now. But what that means, we shall discover together." Whispers in Crystal Hall's days melted into weeks as Nadia adjusted to life among the Lunari. Her quarters, a chamber of polished obsidian and living crystal, offered breathtaking views of Australis's crystalline landscape. The moon's surface glittered under the light of the gas giant Terralux, casting prismatic rainbows across valleys of amethyst formations. Serene proved to be a complex guide. Each morning she escorted Nadia through the underground city of Lumina, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers carved into the moon's crystal core. The Lunari civilization was ancient and sophisticated, their technology seamlessly integrated with the natural crystal formations. Your people absorb energy? Nadia asked during one of their walks, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial fear. She had noticed how the Lunari seemed to draw sustenance directly from the crystals, placing their luminescent hands against the pulsing veins. We exchange it, Serene corrected, pausing beside a large crystalline pool where younger Lunari gathered. All life forms consume energy, Dr. Chen. We simply eliminate the inefficient digestive process. She demonstrated by placing her palm against a crystal formation, which dimmed slightly as violet light traveled up her arm. For millennia, the crystals provided all we needed. But now they're failing, Nadia observed, noting the dull patches in what should have been vibrant structures. Serene's expression darkened. Our isolation was meant to protect us. Now it may destroy us. She turned to Nadia, her star-like eyes intense. Your presence. It disturbs and intrigues me. Human energy resonates differently. It's chaotic, vibrant, constantly renewing. Later that evening, Nadia documented her observations in a journal salvaged from her ship. The Lunari weren't vampires in any traditional sense. They were symbiotes who had evolved to exchange energy directly with their environment. Their purple skin contained specialized cells that processed this energy, giving them their bioluminescent quality. A soft chime announced Trevac's arrival. Unlike Serene, whose presence felt like warm twilight, Trevac brought the chill of deep space. The Sovereign spends too much time with you, he said without preamble, his deep violet skin almost black in the dim light. Some believe she's grown attached. Nadia set down her journal. I'm studying your people. It's a scientific exchange, was that what she told you? Trevac moved closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. What she hasn't explained is that we've tried other solutions, other visitors. A chill ran down Nadia's spine. What happened to them? They served their purpose, he replied, fingers trailing over her research notes. You see, human energy is potent but unstable. To harvest it properly requires total extraction. The threat hung in the air between them. Nadia forced herself to maintain eye contact. Serene doesn't seem to share your methodology. The Sovereign's heart has always been her weakness. Trevac's lips curled in what might have been a smile. She believes in preservation, in balance. But dying civilizations cannot afford such luxuries. After he left, Nadia's hands trembled as she continued writing. The Lunari were divided. Some, like Trevac, saw her as a resource to be consumed. Others, perhaps including Serene, sought a more sustainable solution. That night, Nadia awoke to find Serene seated at the edge of her crystal bed, watching her with an unreadable expression. Your dreams are vibrant, Serene said softly. They ripple through our connection to the crystals. Nadia sat up, suddenly conscious of her vulnerability. You can sense my dreams? Emotions create energy patterns, Serene explained, her voice gentle. Yours are beautiful. She hesitated, then added, Trevac visited you. He made your intentions quite clear, Nadia replied cautiously. Serene's expression hardened. Trevac speaks for tradition, not for me. She extended her hand, stopping just short of touching Nadia's face. I could take what we need from you. It would be simple. Then why don't you? Nadia challenged, heart racing. The Lunari Sovereign's eyes softened, vulnerability replacing authority. Because in studying you, I've begun to question everything we've become. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And because when I'm near you, I feel a warmth I thought our kind had forgotten centuries ago. The admission hung between them like a fragile crystal, beautiful and dangerous in equal measure. The forbidden bond, the Lunari Council chamber sparkled with harsh light as Serene defended her decision. 7 elders seated on crystal thrones regarded their sovereign with expressions ranging from curiosity to open hostility. The human has been here for 43 cycles, Elder Vazra noted, her ancient face creased with disapproval. Yet you have not initiated the extraction protocol. Serene stood tall, her posture revealing none of the inner conflict Nadia had glimpsed in private moments. Dr. Chen's research suggests alternatives. Her understanding of energy transfer could offer sustainable solutions. Research, Trevac scoffed from his position beside the council. While our people weaken and our younglings struggle to maintain form, we need action, not theories. Nadia watched from a designated observation alcove, aware of the precarious position she occupied. Over the past weeks, she had documented the Lunari's decline, their once brilliant bioluminescence dimming, the crystal veins that sustained them growing cloudy. Their civilization was indeed dying, but she had also discovered something the Lunari seemed to have forgotten: their capability for emotional energy generation. When Sareen laughed at one of Nadia's Earth stories, the crystals around them pulsed brighter. When they argued, sharp flares of energy rippled through nearby formations. The human should demonstrate this alternative, Elder Mira suggested, the youngest and most progressive of the council. If her theories have merit, let us witness them. Before Sareen could respond, alarms echoed through the chamber, a discordant chime that set the crystals vibrating painfully. Guards rushed in, their expressions grim. The eastern crystal field has gone dark, one reported. The nursery chambers are affected. The council erupted in panic. The nursery housed the youngest Lunari, those still developing their energy manipulation abilities. Without the crystal's sustenance, they would fade within hours. In the chaos that followed, Nadia found herself alone with Sareen in a transport vessel, skimming over the moon's surface toward the stricken nursery. The landscape below had lost its luster, crystal formations appearing dull and lifeless. "Your council blames me for this," Nadia said quietly. Sareen's hands tightened on the controls. "They blame me for allowing you to distract me from my duties." She glanced sideways, her expression pained. Perhaps they're right. The nursery was a scene of quiet desperation. Dozens of young Lunari lay on crystal beds, their purple skin ashen, the natural luminescence barely visible. Caretakers moved frantically between them, pressing their hands to the children's foreheads in futile attempts to transfer energy. "The crystal vein is dead," a caretaker reported. "We've tried rerouting energy from the central chamber, but the connection fails." Nadia surveyed the scene with a scientist's eye and a human's heart. "The crystals aren't the primary source," she realized aloud. "They're conduits. You've forgotten how to generate energy yourselves." Sareen looked at her sharply. "Explain." "Emotions," Nadia said. "Every time you feel something strongly, joy, fear, love, I've recorded energy spikes in your bioluminescent output." She gestured to a fading child. "Your people evolved to be perfect energy conductors, but somewhere along the way, you stopped producing your own emotional energy. You became dependent on the crystals." Understanding dawned in Sareen's eyes. "The isolation. We thought we were preserving ourselves, but we were stagnating." One of the youngest Lunari, a small girl with pale lavender skin, began to flicker alarmingly, her form becoming translucent at the edges. Without hesitation, Nadia approached and took the child's hand. The contact sent a visible shockwave through the girl's body, human energy transferring directly through touch. The child stabilized, but Nadia gasped, suddenly lightheaded. "Nadia!" Sareen caught her as she stumbled. "What have you done?" "Temporary solution," Nadia managed, her vision swimming. "But it proves my theory. Direct transfer works." Later in Nadia's quarters, Sareen paced with uncharacteristic agitation. "You risked your life. The transfer could have killed you." "But it didn't," Nadia countered. "It created equilibrium. The key isn't harvesting energy, Sareen. It's sharing it." Their eyes met across the room, understanding passing between them that transcended words. Sareen moved closer, her luminescence brightening with each step. "There is a ritual," she said softly. "Forbidden for generations. A true exchange, not merely taking or giving." Her fingers hovered over Nadia's cheek. "But it creates a permanent bond. Our essences would always recognize each other, always call to each other." Nadia's heart raced. "Is that what you want?" Sareen's eyes reflected starlight and something deeper. "I have lived 500 years in perfect control, perfect isolation, until you crashed into my world with your chaos and your warmth." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Yes, Nadia Chen, that is what I want." Their first true touch sent ripples of light across the chamber, crystal veins pulsing in harmony with their synchronized heartbeats. Sareen's cool lips found Nadia's, and the boundary between human and Lunari began to blur in a symphony of shared light and emotion. Betrayal's edge, the ritual changed everything. Where once there had been two separate beings, human and Lunari, now there existed a bridge between worlds. Nadia felt the difference immediately. Her senses heightened, her awareness of the crystal energies around her growing sharper. Sareen, too, was transformed. The violet of her skin deepened to a rich amethyst, luminescent patterns flowing beneath her surface with new vigor. "You glow differently now," Mira observed when they entered the council chambers 3 days after the bonding. The young elder studied them with keen interest, noting how they moved in unconscious synchrony. "The ritual of Shalveth. I never thought I'd witness it performed." Serene stood proudly beside Nadia. "The ritual has proven what Dr. Chen theorized. Our decline isn't due to insufficient energy sources. It's our isolation that's killing us. We've forgotten how to generate and share emotional energy." The chamber remained silent as Serene presented Nadia's research, demonstrating how the nursery children had stabilized following limited human contact. The evidence was compelling. Crystals throughout Lumina had brightened since the ritual, responding to the new energy patterns flowing between Serene and Nadia. Elder Vazra leaned forward. Her ancient eyes narrowed. "This bond, it sustains you both?" "It does more than sustain," Nadia explained, activating a holographic display of her readings. "It multiplies. The energy we generate together exceeds what either of us could produce alone." For a moment, hope flickered across the council's expressions. Then Trevak stepped from the shadows, his voice cutting through the optimism. "An impressive display, Sovereign, but one successful bond doesn't save a civilization." He circled Nadia, his gaze calculating. "How many humans would we need to bond with? Dozens? Hundreds? And where would we find these willing partners?" Murmurs rippled through the chamber as the implications sank in. Serene raised her hand for silence. "We don't need to bond with every human. We need to relearn what they never forgot, how to generate our own emotional energy." She gestured to the brightened crystals. "Nadia and I can teach others. It will take time, but time we don't have," Trevak interrupted. "The outer settlements report 17 fading this cycle alone." His voice softened persuasively. "There is another solution, one that honors our traditions while embracing this new knowledge." The council leaned closer as Trevak revealed his proposal. A controlled extraction from Nadia, amplified by her bond with Serene, could theoretically generate enough energy to revitalize all of Lumina's crystals at once. "It would require a complete transfer," he admitted, not meeting Nadia's eyes. "But one life to save thousands, isn't that a worthy exchange?" Serene's luminescence flared with anger. "You speak of sacrifice while plotting murder. The bond cannot be severed without destroying us both." "A regrettable necessity," Elder Vazra sighed, and Nadia realized with horror that the council had already discussed this. "Sovereign, your dedication to the human is admirable, but your duty is to your people." Guards materialized from alcoves around the chamber. Not Serene's personal guards, Nadia noted, but soldiers loyal to the council. They moved with practiced efficiency, separating her from Serene despite their desperate reaches for each other. "This is treason." Serene's voice rang with authority even as restraints were placed on her wrists, crystal bands that dampened her energy projection. "I am still your sovereign, and we act to preserve your reign," Trevak replied smoothly. "When the transfer is complete, you will understand the necessity." He turned to the guards. "Take Dr. Chen to the extraction chamber. Prepare the amplification grid." The last thing Nadia saw before being dragged from the chamber was Serene's face, rage and desperation giving way to a cold, calculated focus that chilled Nadia more than fear. Hours later, Nadia fought against the crystal restraints binding her to a circular platform in the center of Lumina's deepest chamber. Around her, an intricate network of crystal veins converged, all pulsing with anticipation. Technicians made final adjustments to equipment that would channel her life force throughout the entire city. "The process will be quick," Trevak informed her, almost kindly. "Your contribution to our survival will be honored for generations." "Where is Serene?" Nadia demanded, straining against her bonds. "The Sovereign is meditating, preparing herself for the shock of separation." His expression revealed nothing. "The bond makes this complicated but necessary." As technicians cleared the chamber and the extraction sequence initiated with a low hum, Nadia closed her eyes. Through the bond she reached for Serene, feeling her presence, not distant and diminished as expected, but sharp, focused, and moving rapidly closer. The chamber door disintegrated in a blast of concentrated energy. Serene stood in the opening, flanked by Mira and several guards whose loyalties clearly remained with their sovereign. Most shocking was Serene's appearance. Her usual composed elegance replaced by primal power, energy crackling around her in violent arcs. "Step away from her," Serene commanded, her voice resonating with harmonics that made the crystals vibrate. Trevak placed himself between Serene and the extraction platform. "Think rationally, Sovereign. One life for thousands. You understand nothing of life or its worth," Serene cut him off, advancing into the chamber. With a gesture, she shattered Nadia's restraints. "The extraction wouldn't save our people. It would only continue our decline." Trevak's facade cracked, revealing the desperation beneath. "Then what would you have us do? Watch as our younglings fade, as our elders diminish?" His voice broke. "I have served you faithfully for centuries, Serene. Everything I've done was to preserve our kind." "I know," Serene's voice softened, "which is why I offer you choice rather than punishment." She extended her hand. "Join us in the great connecting. Feel what we've forgotten." For one suspended moment it seemed he might accept. Then with a cry of anguish, Trevak lunged toward the extraction controls. What happened next occurred too quickly for Nadia to fully process. Energy surged from Serene's outstretched hand, intercepting Trevak before he reached the controls. But rather than striking him down, the energy enveloped him, creating a swirling vortex that connected the three of them, Serene, Nadia, and Trevak. Through this unexpected bond, Nadia felt Trevak's centuries of devotion to Serene, his fear for their people, and beneath it all, a loneliness that mirrored what she had first sensed in Serene. When the energy dissipated, Trevak fell to his knees, his skin glowing with renewed luminescence. He gasped, looking at his trembling hands. "I feel everything," Serene finished gently, "as we were meant to." Twilight Symphony dawn broke over Astralis, bathing the crystal landscape in prismatic light. From the highest spire of Lumina, Nadia watched as Lunari gathered in concentric circles in the central plaza below. 3 months had passed since the failed extraction attempt, and today marked the culmination of what the Lunari now called the Awakening. "Nervous?" Serene asked, joining her at the viewport. The Sovereign wore ceremonial attire, crystal threads woven with patterns that matched the luminescence flowing beneath her purple skin. "Terrified," Nadia admitted with a smile, "but ready." The great connecting ritual had been Mira's suggestion, inspired by what she had witnessed between Serene, Nadia, and Trevak. If 3 beings could share energy through emotional connection, why not an entire civilization? Today they would attempt to create a momentary link between all Lunari, and through them to the crystal heart of Astralis itself. Nadia's role was crucial. As the only human, her emotional energy would serve as the catalyst, the spark that would ignite the Lunari's dormant ability to generate their own energy, rather than merely conducting it. "The council is assembled," Trevak announced from the doorway. His transformation had been the most surprising outcome of recent events. Once restored to his full energy potential, he had become their strongest ally, helping to convince the reluctant elders that emotional connection was not weakness, but salvation. The descent to the central plaza felt like walking into a dream. Thousands of Lunari stood in perfect formation, their combined luminescence creating patterns that flowed across the ground like living art. At the center waited the council and the children from the nursery, now fully recovered and vibrant with energy. Elder Vazra stepped forward as Nadia took her position at the center of the innermost circle. "We gathered to witness the rebirth of our people," she announced, her voice carrying across the silent crowd. "For too long we have existed rather than lived, preserved rather than thrived." She bowed deeply to Nadia. "Today, we learn from the human who crashed into our world and shattered our isolation." The ritual began with a simple touch, Serene and Nadia joining hands at the center of the formation. From this contact, energy spiraled outward as each Lunari connected physically to those beside them, creating an unbroken chain of contact. The sensation was overwhelming. Nadia gasped as thousands of consciousness brushed against her own, each carrying distinct emotional signatures: fear, hope, curiosity, longing. Millennia of suppressed feelings surged through the connection, gathering momentum like a wave. The crystal veins running through Lumina pulsed in response, brightening until the entire city glowed like a beacon against the dark side of the moon. At the height of the connection, something unexpected happened. The largest crystal formation at the center of the plaza began to resonate, with a tone that vibrated through bone and tissue, a sound both mournful and joyous. Other crystals joined the harmonic, creating a symphony that no instrument could replicate. The voice of Australis itself, responding to the emotional energy flooding its crystalline network. The crystal that had appeared dead for generations now shimmered with renewed purpose. As the connection peaked, knowledge flowed both ways through the bond. The Lunari remembered what they had forgotten, that they were not merely consumers of energy, but creators of it. And Nadia understood at last the true nature of the Lunari and their world. Not parasites, but symbiotes evolved to channel and amplify the emotional energy of all living things. When the ritual ended, no one spoke for several minutes. The silence was filled with the soft glow of thousands of Lunari, each now shining with their own inner light rather than merely reflecting external energy. Cyrene addressed her people with tears tracking luminescent paths down her purple cheeks. Today marks not just our salvation, but our evolution. We have remembered what it means to feel, to connect, to live. In the weeks that followed, Lumina transformed. The once austere crystal city now pulsed with color and sound, as Lunari rediscovered music, art, and the simple joy of emotional expression. The younglings proved especially adaptable, their natural curiosity blossoming into creativity that infused new energy into the ancient civilization. Repair work on Nadia's ship progressed rapidly with Lunari assistance. Soon a sleek vessel stood ready on the crystal landing platform, capable of returning her to Earth. The research station would have given her up for dead months ago. She could go home, share her discoveries, perhaps even forge a diplomatic connection between humans and Lunari. On the eve of her potential departure, Nadia found Serene in their private garden, a space where crystal formations had been coaxed into growing earth flowers, roses and jasmine that thrived in the unique atmosphere of Australis. "The Council has approved an ambassadorial mission to Earth," Serene said without preamble. "They've asked me to lead it." Nadia's heart skipped. "And will you?" "That depends," Serene replied, taking Nadia's hands in hers. The now familiar energy flowed between them, warm and comforting, on whether Earth's foremost xenobiologist would be willing to guide me through her world, as I guided her through mine. Nadia laughed, the sound making nearby crystals chime in response. "Are you proposing an extended research project, Sovereign?" "I'm proposing a future," Serene said softly. "One where our peoples learn from each other, where isolation gives way to connection." Her star-like eyes held a question. "Where would you have us begin this journey, Nadia Chen? Your world or mine?" Nadia looked out over the transformed landscape of Australis, now vibrant with color and life, then back to the ship that could take her home. The choice was clear, not between worlds, but for connection itself. "Both," she said, drawing Serene close. "Always both." As twilight descended over the crystalline moon, the sovereign of the Lunari and the human who had changed their fate sealed their commitment with a kiss that sent ripples of light cascading through Lumina's crystal heart. Not an ending, but a beginning, a symphony of possibility playing across two worlds and beyond.